The unboxing, that crisp sound of the plastic peeling off a new screen, is a ritual we see everywhere. Hands open sleek boxes, revealing the latest gadgets, smartphones, laptops, earbuds. There's a thrill, a sense of progress as we imagine all we'll accomplish. Suddenly, our old device feels clunky, and this new one promises change. Advertisements flood our feeds, painting a life improved by the latest tech. Crowds queue for hours, eager for the next big release. The chase for the newest model becomes a status symbol. We see friends flaunt their upgrades, and a voice whispers, "Maybe I need one too." It's easy to get swept up in the excitement. But what are we really chasing? Technology is woven into every moment of our lives. From waking up to winding down, devices are always within reach. With this comes pressure to stay current, to avoid being left behind. Manufacturers know this, releasing new models at dizzying speed. Notifications urge us to upgrade, warning our devices are obsolete. The cycle of innovation and desire feels normal, even expected. We celebrate the new, discard the old, rarely questioning the cost. But what if this relentless pursuit hides a price we don't see? Are we missing something important in our rush for the latest? That shiny new phone eventually becomes yesterday's news. Old gadgets pile up, forgotten, recycled, or shipped far away. Welcome to the world of e-waste mountains of discarded tech, far from the bright stores. Millions of tons are generated yearly, flowing across borders. Devices from wealthy nations end up in informal dumps in developing countries, out of sight, out of mind. But their legacy endures. The joy of upgrading leaves behind a growing, dangerous aftermath. We need to look beyond our bins. Discarded electronics are filled with hazardous materials: lead, mercury, cadmium, flame retardants. When smashed or dumped, these toxins leak into soil and water, poisoning communities. Informal recycling methods, burning cables, using acids, expose workers, even children, to deadly risks. Airborne toxins travel, contaminating crops and waterways. The environmental scars run deep: poisoned earth, polluted water, toxic air. The convenience of upgrades leads to long-term damage. Reversing this harm is costly and difficult. Our gadget's afterlife is a poisoned legacy. The true impact is hidden but growing. What will we leave for future generations? The price tag on a new device is just the beginning. Safe recycling is expensive. If ignored, the environment and communities pay the price. Precious metals and rare earths are wasted in landfills, mined at great cost, then discarded. E-waste is one of the fastest-growing waste streams, filling up landfills worldwide. The hidden cost includes decades of environmental cleanup and health impacts. Taxpayers and future generations foot the bill, not the companies profiting from short-lived tech. Our disposable culture accumulates a debt to society and the planet. Is this a price we're willing to pay? We're surrounded by ads promising happiness with every upgrade. Marketing creates desire, making our current devices feel outdated. FOMO, limited editions, and launch hype fuel the urge to buy now. Social pressure and expertly crafted campaigns make upgrades feel essential. Each new model boasts revolutionary features, often just minor tweaks. Launches become cultural events, normalizing constant upgrading. Unboxing videos and media frenzy amplify the excitement. The cycle pulls us in long before our devices are truly obsolete. All these forces work together, making it hard to resist the next purchase. But at what cost? Us. What if our gadgets are designed to fail sooner than they should? This is planned obsolescence. Companies deliberately engineer products with limited lifespans so consumers buy replacements more frequently. Critics argue this boosts sales but fuels electronic waste. Sealed batteries and components that fail after warranty periods frustrate consumers. Software updates can also slow older devices, pushing users to buy new models. Shorter life cycles mean more sales and profits for corporations. Ultimately, consumers and the planet pay the price. It isn't always the hardware that gives out first. Sometimes it's the software that dictates the end of a gadget's useful life. Your phone might be in good condition, but apps demand the latest operating system, which your device can no longer support. This is often driven by security concerns, as tech companies eventually cease providing updates for older devices, making them vulnerable. You often find yourself cornered, forced into an upgrade that you didn't necessarily want. The pressure to upgrade isn't always delivered as a sudden breakdown. It's a series of small, persistent nudges, like constant pop-up notifications. These messages are designed to keep upgrading at the forefront of your mind. New features often work best on the latest hardware. You see friends enjoying new capabilities on their gadgets. This performance difference can be a strong motivator to upgrade. The technology ecosystem actively encourages multiple upgrades. But what happens if one device is older than the others? Upgrading one gadget creates an expensive domino effect. All these pressures accumulate, creating a powerful effect. Our discarded gadgets often end up in sprawling electronic graveyards in poorer nations. Here, workers manually dismantle our old phones and laptops, searching for tiny fragments of value. Their hands sift through sharp metal and fractured plastic day after day. Imagine vast fields of electronic refuse where the air is thick with burning plastic and unknown chemicals. This is the human element directly impacted by the global e-waste trade, intertwined with the toxic legacy of our fast-paced consumption. Amongst the workers in these e-waste landscapes, a particularly heartbreaking sight is common. Children, sometimes very young children. They are often working alongside their parents or even on their own. Their small, nimble fingers are considered ideal for picking through piles of electronic components. They can more easily extract tiny, valuable pieces from the complex innards of discarded gadgets. These children should be in school, learning and playing. Instead, they are exposed daily to some of the most hazardous working environments imaginable. Their childhoods are being stolen by the global demand for cheap recycling and resource recovery from our electronic waste. This is a profound tragedy hidden within the problem. These young workers face the same dangers as the adults, but their developing bodies are even more vulnerable. They breathe the same toxic fumes from burning plastics and smoldering circuit boards. They handle materials contaminated with lead, mercury, and cadmium without any understanding of the risks. These substances can have devastating long-term effects on a child's growth and development. They can impair brain function, damage internal organs, and lead to chronic illnesses later in life. The exposure begins at such a tender age, the consequences can be irreversible. The innocence of youth is starkly contrasted with the grim reality of their daily labor. For these children and their families, the work is often a matter of survival. Extreme poverty leaves them with very few, if any, other options. Even a tiny income earned from collecting scraps can mean the difference between eating a meal or going hungry. They are trapped in a cycle of poverty that the e-waste trade exploits. The lure of quick, albeit small, cash from selling recovered materials is powerful. Education becomes a distant dream when the immediate need is to contribute to the family's daily bread. Their future potential is being squandered amidst the toxic mountains of our discarded technology, a future dimmed before it has a chance to shine. The presence of child labor in e-waste dumps is a clear violation of human rights. It is a stark indicator of systemic failures in regulation, enforcement, and social safety nets. The products we consume, the upgrades we eagerly anticipate, can be directly linked to these appalling conditions. It forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Our demand for cheap electronics and our rapid discarding of them contributes to a global system where children are put in harm's way. Their health, their education, and their futures are being compromised. This is a heavy burden for such small hands to carry, a burden we all share some responsibility for. The impact of e-waste doesn't stop at the gates of the dump sites. The hazardous materials contained within our old electronics don't simply stay put, they leach out, spreading insidiously into the surrounding environment. Rainwater washes over the piles of discarded gadgets. As it percolates through, it picks up a cocktail of toxic chemicals. Heavy metals like lead, mercury, arsenic, and cadmium dissolve into this runoff. This contaminated liquid, known as leachate, seeps into the ground. It slowly poisons the soil, rendering it barren and unfit for growing crops. This directly affects the food security of communities living nearby who may depend on local agriculture for their sustenance. This toxic leachate doesn't just contaminate the soil, it continues its journey downwards, eventually reaching underground water sources. Aquifers, which supply drinking water to entire communities, can become dangerously polluted. People living near e-waste dumps often rely on wells for their daily water needs. They use this water for drinking, for cooking, for washing. Unknowingly, they may be ingesting a slow, steady dose of harmful chemicals. The water might look clear, it might taste normal, but it can carry invisible poisons that accumulate in their bodies over time, leading to serious health problems. The very source of life becomes a source of sickness. The open burning of e-waste, a common practice to extract metals, releases a witch's brew of toxins into the air. Plastics, when burned, can produce dioxins and furans, highly carcinogenic compounds. Heavy metals can also become airborne as fine particulate matter. These pollutants can travel significant distances on wind currents, settling on homes, fields and waterways far from the original burning site. People breathe this contaminated air every day. The toxic dust settles on their food, on their clothes, on their children's toys. It becomes an unavoidable part of their daily existence, a constant, invisible threat to their well-being. The consequences for public health in these affected areas are dire. Communities living in the shadow of e-waste dumps often experience higher rates of certain illnesses. Respiratory problems, skin diseases, and stomach ailments become commonplace. More serious conditions, such as cancers, neurological disorders, and birth defects, may also be linked to long-term exposure to these environmental toxins. The most vulnerable, including children and pregnant women, suffer disproportionately. What was once a remote dumping ground becomes a source of chronic illness and suffering for entire populations. The convenience of our upgrades is creating zones of sickness elsewhere. The health impacts on workers and communities exposed to e-waste are profound and often devastating. These are not just abstract risks, they translate into real human suffering, into lives cut short or forever altered. Direct contact with hazardous materials during dismantling can cause immediate injuries. Cuts from broken glass and sharp metals are common, and these wounds can easily become infected in unsanitary conditions. Burns from acid used to strip components or from accidental fires are also a constant danger. These immediate physical injuries are just the visible tip of a much larger iceberg of health problems. The daily grind takes a visible toll on their bodies. Beyond the immediate physical dangers, the long-term health consequences of chronic exposure to toxins are even more alarming. Lead, for example, is a potent neurotoxin that can cause irreversible brain damage, particularly in children. This can lead to learning disabilities, developmental delays, and behavioral problems. Mercury exposure can damage the kidneys, the nervous system, and the brain. Cadmium is a known carcinogen linked to lung and kidney cancer. Flame retardants, commonly found in plastics, can disrupt the endocrine system, affecting hormone balance and reproductive health. These are invisible scars developing slowly over years of exposure, often without the victims even realizing the source of their ailments. Diagnosing and treating these conditions in affected communities is incredibly challenging. Access to healthcare is often limited and unaffordable for many of these workers and their families. The symptoms of chronic poisoning can be vague and easily misattributed to other causes. There is often a lack of awareness, both among the population and local healthcare providers, about the specific health risks associated with e-waste exposure. As a result, many suffer in silence, their illnesses progressing untreated. The true scale of the health crisis linked to informal e-waste recycling is likely underestimated. A hidden epidemic unfolding in the shadows of our technological progress. This chain of harm links our consumption habits directly to the well-being of others. The phone we discard without a second thought can contribute to a child's developmental problems continents away. The laptop we replace for a faster model can release carcinogens into the air, breathed by an entire community. It is a stark reminder of global interconnectedness, but in a deeply unsettling way. The pursuit of constant technological upgrades by one part of the world is creating significant health hazards for another. Recognizing these invisible scars, these human costs, is a critical step towards fostering a more just and sustainable relationship with our technology. E-waste and its human toll can feel overwhelming, but despair is not the only response. People are waking up to the urgent need for responsible ways to handle discarded electronics. Conscious recycling programs offer a positive contrast to dangerous dumping. So, what makes these formal recycling centers different? Well, everything. Imagine facilities designed with safety and environmental protection as top priorities. Workers are provided with proper training and essential protective gear. This is responsible e-waste management in action. Inside these advanced facilities, a fascinating transformation takes place. Sophisticated sorting technologies are then employed. Specialized chemical processes can then be used to recover precious metals. Hazardous substances are carefully isolated and treated for safe disposal. The impact of supporting and expanding these programs is truly significant. It means valuable raw materials are recovered and can be channeled back into manufacturing new products. And perhaps most importantly, it directly prevents pollution, protecting public health, towards a circular economy for electronics. Beyond recycling, the repair revolution is gaining momentum, challenging our throwaway culture. It champions mending what's broken, valuing longevity over disposability. This empowers individuals to take back control from manufacturers. Community repair cafes are springing up, becoming hubs of action where people can bring broken electronics. Volunteers help diagnose problems and guide owners through repairs. Fueling this is the Right to Repair movement, advocating for legislative changes. They fight for fair access to spare parts and manuals, challenging planned obsolescence. Repair reduces e-waste, lessens the demand for new products, and fosters local economies. Beyond recycling, refurbished tech offers another avenue for sustainability. Refurbished devices are professionally inspected, repaired, and restored. Often these are returns or ex-display models sold with a warranty at a lower price. Choosing refurbished reduces demand for new manufacturing, saving resources and reducing emissions. Upcycling transforms old electronics into new, unexpected creations. Sustainable design focuses on durable, repairable, and modular tech, using recycled materials and take-back programs. This creates a circular economy, harmonizing technology with planetary health. We've journeyed through quite a story. We confronted the stark reality of where our old gadgets end up, colossal mountains of electronic waste. The scale can feel overwhelming, a global challenge with a hidden price. But seeing the problem clearly is the first step towards a solution. The power to make a real difference sits with us. Every time you choose repair over replacement, you signal a demand for change. Imagine the collective impact if more of us made conscious choices. This shift sends a loud message to manufacturers. We expect more sustainable design. This isn't about rejecting technology, but fundamentally changing our relationship with it. It means pausing before that next impulsive upgrade and embracing mindful consumption. As we look towards what comes next, there are real, tangible reasons for hope. The solutions we've seen represent a powerful, growing movement, a global awakening to the fact that our current path simply isn't sustainable. The concept of a circular economy is gaining genuine momentum. To truly accelerate this positive transformation, we need big changes at a systemic level. Governments also have a vital role. International collaboration will be absolutely key. Picture a future where our technological advancements truly serve the best interests of both humanity and our shared planet. This isn't some impossible dream, but it requires a collective commitment from all of us. It demands a fundamental shift away from the old linear model. Our journey has hopefully sparked reflection and perhaps even a desire to act. The power to demand and create a more sustainable future truly begins with each one of us.